Hello, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. So thankful you're here with us. And we're looking at, yes, it says today's #1 selling study Bible. When I did a list of my favorite study Bibles, I listed this at the top of the heap. And it's the Life Application Study Bible. This is the King James Version, 3rd edition, but large print. That's what makes this one so special. So we're going to look at that. Tyndale really hit a home run. The two people who developed this, I became very good friends with them. Absolutely amazing people. They really helped us in developing the Premier Study Bible, which so many of you have so graciously liked, and we're coming out with a second improved edition of that, trying to keep it updated. This is a red letter edition. Again, Tyndale House Publishing. So let's take a look at this. Now, this is not a how to use. I may do another video on how to use this Life Application Study Bible. But the biggest thing about large print study Bibles is they're big. And so we're going to measure this right off the bat. And so it's about 9.4 inches, maybe 9.375 inches tall, which that's not bad for a study Bible or really any Bible. You know, the laws of physics still apply to Bibles. People don't realize Bible publishing is a lot different than publishing books because it takes so much specialization. First of all, the paper. And then it's about 6.75 inches across. I appreciate Sister Waldron zooming in and out. Many of you leave her comments saying you appreciate her as well. That's good. We all have different parts in the body of Christ. Now, this is where the kicker is going to come in. Yike-olas. Yeah, it's looking like 2.5 inches thick. That's thick. And so the difficulty gets being carrying something like this to church, maybe a little bit impractical. Maybe for some not, some it is. And then people who need large print a lot of times are elderly people. And then something this big, so often they've got hand strength loss, arthritis, something like that, and then they just can't carry it. And I don't have a weight deal, like a scale, but I'm going to guess this would be big enough, like it wouldn't be concealed carry, but it would certainly do some damage to somebody. It's almost the size of a family Bible. Look at this. Isn't this gorgeous on the inside? And I think as so many hardbacks are nowadays, that Smythson or Smithson, S-M-Y-T-H, which really lends to the Bible lasting a long time because pages don't fall out. So sewn instead of glued, or maybe sewn and glued, but it's not decorative headbands and tailbands, just a nice blue headband there. And let's see, yeah, it's laying flat in Genesis, so it's definitely Smythson. It does not have a ribbon marker, which is a bummer. So many hardbacks have been coming out with ribbon markers. So senior editorial team, Dr. Bruce Barton, he's a friend. Dave Veerman, friend. Wonderful, wonderful people. Boy, this print is wonderful. So here's the Life Application Bible, why it's so unique. First thing is, it's kind of like the old Dixon's Analytical, and that it gives you a timeline. And one of the neat things about the timeline is sometimes it throws in like secular events, like what's happening in China during a particular biblical event and stuff. I love all that stuff, just seeing the totality of the world's population since God created us all. And so that's just great. And I'm going to tell you, this print is large for a study Bible. Now, it's not your super giant print by Holman. It's not 24 point, 18 point, but we're going to measure it in just a little bit. Another of the fantastic things that they've done is like a date written 1450, 1410 BC, which is conservative. But you can see the chronology down at the bottom, the timeline, the outline, the, who wrote it, just excellent introductions. My personal favorite in introductions, at least at this point, is still the Open Study Bible. I love the information contained in the Open Study Bible. I've done a few reviews on that over the years. And so then another fantastic thing that it does is it gives a map of like key places in Genesis. And so then every time you change locations in the Bible, it changes with you with that map. That was simply ingenious. I'll tell you, when this was done in the 80s, that was unheard of. Basically, you had the NIV Study Bible, and then you had your Ryrie, your Dake, your Thompson, your Schofield, and that was basically it. I mean, you had some kind of boutique-y ones like the Dixon's Analytical and stuff. I did want to show you what it looks like without the dust cover, the dust jacket, as it's called. I wear dust jackets every so often, but this is a dust jacket. So that's what it looks like without it. And so let's just keep going here in Genesis. And so tons of notes, side column reference, which this was actually one of the first study Bibles to do side column reference. And then it's going to have little special snippets besides commentary in little blue boxes as you go. So with the side column references, the reason I like them so much is they're so much easier to use than a center column reference. I just find myself not using a center column reference because I get lost in all the little A's and B's and C's and all that. I mean, I may use it every so often, but just so rarely. But let's see if it's got room to write. Okay, so in the gutter, oh, wow. It's got 0.375 inches, which is pretty good. Usually it's a 1/4 inch in the gutter. At the top, see, 1/2 inch. Now, it doesn't look like it has any on the right side here. But, you know, it's still like 0.3, let's say. Doesn't have much at the bottom. So if you're going to write any notes in this thing, yeah, it looks like it's a 1/4 inch exactly on the bottom. It'll be at the top pretty much, or on the side with the side column reference. So if we turn a little bit, you know, like it'll say what the Bible says about marriage, and then it has character studies. As each character is introduced into the biblical narrative, every major character basically, it's going to give you an outstanding character study. So this is where we got the idea in the Premier Study Bible. Basically what we did with the Premier Study Bible, I sold study Bibles for so many years for a living that we just tried to take the best of all of them and tried to acknowledge it. I mean, we didn't try to hide, ooh, let's get this from the Ryrie. And I'm not saying we didn't steal their information, we learned from their ideas. So like the character studies are totally different in the Premier Study Bible. And then you just keep going, and then you have Eve. And we're also going to measure what the study Bible, the text itself, and it looks like it is smaller in the notes, but still okay in the notes. Story of Noah. And so here's another, the Mountains of Ararat, just another thing. So the Life Application Study Bible, it was a study Bible ahead of its time. There's some of these full color study Bibles they're coming out with, like the KJV study by Nelson and Holman, and you know, some of the chronological Life Application, the CSB, the ESV study Bible. But it really was ahead of its time, and just so good. Has in-text headers in a very dark blue, and then it has some in lighter black. And it doesn't have a lot in the way of ghosting. I don't know if there's another map in text, if this is some of that great print done by Y2K Denmark or 2K Denmark. Let's see One of you wonderful people sent me this. People keep asking, so where do I get one? I don't know, because I don't know where they bought it. I'm assuming Staples or somewhere. I have no idea. But it's a print size deal. See, and it looks like 11-point print in the text, and it's not going to be that much. But boy, just in the notes, it's going to be very well laid out, like the spaces between the lines and everything. Just fantastic. Looks like 10-point. So it's a big Bible, but it does have bigger print. Now, and there is some ghosting, because sometimes they do stuff in like darker blue and stuff. That comes through a lot. There's a thing on Melchizedek. But it really doesn't hinder the reading experience. And I'm assuming, Ishmael, that this comes in the full comportment of, you know, leathers, leather soft, and all this kind of stuff. Boy, look at this in Psalms: synonym, commandments, judgment, law, ordinance, precepts, statutes, testimonies, words. And that is in Psalm 119. That is handy. I've got my phone. I need to just take a picture of that. That is valuable information. And that's one reason study Bibles sell so well, is because you get, okay, for $30-something or whatever this is, maybe been 40 from CBD because it's large print, 30 in the regular. You get so much. I mean, it's like a year in Bible college kind of thing if you go through all this information. And then between the Testaments, it gives you a great read-in between the Testaments. I'm assuming they may have had Phil Comfort help with some of this. He's got a lot of good scholarship. Sometimes I don't necessarily agree with this stuff on textual studies, but on many other things we would agree. That's the thing. I would agree with a lot of people on a lot of things, but you know, I just got to stick to truth doctrine. All right, and so then we're into the New Testament, and it is red letter. So let's, boy, Herod, gospel accounts found only in Matthew. See, that's valuable information that you just never see anywhere else. Pharisees and Sadducees. Jesus begins his ministry. It's got where he goes. So we're in, always a good place to check red letter is the Sermon on the Mount, because that's like all Jesus for just about 3 chapters. With the beginning and the end would be Matthew writing a little bit. He wrote it all, but he's recording Jesus. So excellent red letter. Red letter is real hit or miss. Some of the things about red letter, sometimes it's inconsistent in its printing. And sometimes it's in a red letter that's very difficult to read. This one looks just fantastic. I did want to see where this one was printed. Also, I failed to mention it does have good 1, 2, 3, 4 presentation pages, special memories, that kind of thing. Let's see if we can tell. So yeah, it does come in bonded leather, leather-like, hardcover. So it only comes in bonded leather. Yeah, printed in China, which, you know, obviously is, you know, in my opinion, it's unfortunate, because we don't want China ever to cut off the printing of Bibles, but they're just doing the best job printing Bibles outside of boutique Bibles now, like your church Bible, local church Bible, Allen Bibles, Youngblood, and all this. But as far as mass-produced Bibles, just doing great. So let's see, and just the amount of notes everywhere is just fantastic. Look at this, Hebrews reference, Christ and the angels, Old Testament reference. It's in the book of Hebrews. I just couldn't recommend this in the information and the unique information more highly. Many of you like the Dake Bible. A lot of you don't, because you say he's a heretic. But a lot of his information is not heretical. And so it has a table of weights and measures. We'll look at a few things in the back. I'll try to give you a page count too. Well, you say I've been watching too much Paul Harrell. Actually, and I only watch Paul Harrell like once a week for a few minutes, but I really like his presentations. But he's so thorough. Oh, but that's what like I do for relaxation. He and Hickok 45. All right, a Christian resource manual. So It's 2,802 pages, which is massive for a study Bible. And so it's got Christian Workers Resource, how to become a Christian, how to follow it with the new believer, mining the treasures, the Life Application Study Bible. So you've been asked to speak, taking the step to application. Then it's got a Bible reading plan in here, abbreviations to the master index. And so a master index, okay, I'm just going to read it to you. This is an index to the notes, charts, maps, and personality profiles in the Life app. Every entry concerning a note has a Bible reference and a page number. Every entry concerning a chart, map, or personality profile has a page number. Then it goes on to explain some nuances. So, I mean, that's good. It's way better than a concordance, because what this is doing, it's telling you where to find this in the Bible, like where it spoke of it, and the page number. But at the same time, it is a concordance, and it's not a large print concordance, but it is a very clear print concordance. Let's see about how big this guy is. I'm guessing 8 point. I better do it over here. Egypt. Let's do 7 point. 7 point. But it is very clear. Maybe 7.5 point, something like that. And so we had 2,802 pages of the text, and then of study helps in the back. Now, in the back as well, this is fantastic. It's got a KJV, dictionary, and concordance. I'm just going to show you that. That's just another super study help for this. Now, of course, it's going to come in various translations. I think the NIV, NASB. I don't know if they have an ESV Life app now. They might. I want to say they've come out with the New King James. That's always, copyright's always played such a huge role. But now that HarperCollins owns Nelson, New King James, and Zondervan, NIV, and Biblica, it really helps. So, behooved, different things. Okay, so let's see. It ends on page 3005. So it's got about 200 pages of study helps in the back. And then it has lined pages for you to write notes in. Pretty thin. We're going to see how big between lines. It looks like it is, in fact, 0.15 inches between lines. It looks like it's plenty room enough to write. And it's got, let's just count. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12 with front and back. It probably ghosts. We'll see if it ghosts on the back here. We'll put Jesus is Lord. Now this is in a ballpoint, not a felt tip. Felt tips are bad for bleeding. Jesus is Lord. I'll show you what it looks like on the other side at the top there, Sister Waldron. You can kind of see that it didn't bleed through, but you can see it. So that may hinder you in writing on both sides. And then we're going to look at the Bible maps, and we'll be done with the Life Application Bible, 3rd edition, large print. Let's see how many maps there is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, on that, there's some maps that are just one map but take up 2 pages, and then there's some maps that have multiple maps on 1 page. I love this map, Israel in the Middle East today, because it lets you see like Israel compared to the state of Florida. These are fantastic maps, by the way. Map companies, Abingdon's always had the best Bible maps. They're just the best. But everybody else from Zondervan, Holman, Nelson has upped their games. The Nelson maps are really good now. And these Tyndale maps are excellent. I didn't see like a gazetter at the front that lets you find things through a grid system. I think they might have decided not many people use that.